Hello and welcome! This is going to be a Basics of Blitzball video for those of you who have no idea what's going on in this minigame. It's fairly simple, it's also fairly easy to abuse. I have reset data, so I can basically show from a clean slate what exactly everything is or means, although that does mean it's Humphrey level 3 at this point. He's level 2. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll just keep it at this, because at this point I can't really fix it. But either way, at any point after Luca, you can go into a save sphere, or go to a save sphere and start playing Blitzball, except for a few points where you can't, because this story dictates you cannot be doing something else at that point. There are 3 modes plus a tutorial. I recommend you do the tutorial, it'll explain what I'm doing fairly easy. League is a series of 10 games. It's fairly long and tedious. Series of 10 games, and it's based on points, so you get, I think, 3 points for winning, 1 for a tie, and 0 for a loss, I believe. Whoever has the most points will get a first place prize, obviously, which will include bits for Wakka's celestial weapon, as do the tournaments. Tournaments are more traditional bracket-style game matchups. I think you play at most 3 games, so it's a lot shorter than a league, and it also contains bits of Wakka's celestial weapon, so you can end up having to do both, and they alternate, so it'll start on tournament, I think, and then go to league, and then tournament again, I think, is how it works. Can't remember exactly, you probably want to just, look that up, but you need all of his overdrives and his sigil, which all come from leagues and tournaments, and then you can get his weapon powered up. Exhibition is a one-off match that does not do anything. It's basically like practice for all intents and purposes, which is what exhibitions usually are. I don't think you get experience in exhibitions, though. So I will be using a league game to explain how this works. Team data will show you data on each of your characters, and I will use this to explain stats. There are levels, it is an RPG. Every action you take basically gives you experience. A goalie just being in a game gets 2 points of experience, just in case they don't get to block any shots or anything. Salary and contract. You have players contracted to your team. Let's go to someone who actually has a contract for a certain number of games, and their salary is cost per game, effectively. When the contract is up, you are given first dibs on re-entering that contract or redoing that contract. Otherwise, they become a free agent and other teams can pick them up as needed, or wanted for that matter. The default RX team is not very good, so I recommend you look into getting at least a couple of free agents. For instance, Rop is very good. Brother is easy to get because he's on the airship. He's pretty good, if you're at that point anyway. And numerous others that are pretty good. Especially in the low levels, if you're just doing this for Wakka's Celestial, you'll want to look up some free agents that you can quickly grab for, 10 games, reset, get them again, etc., etc. In the default order, it is front, so left front, right front, midfielder. It's actually left field, right field, but you know what I mean. Left defender, right defender, and then goalie. Goalie, the only stat that matters is catch, but let's go over all of them. HP is required for carrying the ball. It's drained for every second that you carry the ball. A certain percentage, I believe, is actually drained. Could just be 1 HP, but I can't remember. Either way, it's drained when you have the ball in your possession and I'm currently moving around. It's also drained to use abilities, or techniques as they are called. For instance, utilizing Venom Tackle or Jet Shot for Tidus here, which is a great ability, by the way, will soak up some of that HP, so you can't spam away abilities, you have to keep in mind your HP. It also means you can drain, using Drain Tackle, drain the enemy's HP and keep them from using skills. Endurance is your ability to take hits, so it's basically the opposite of attack, as you can see over there. It's kind of conveniently placed. So, whenever you break against an enemy player, which we will show in a match soon, your endurance is paired up against their attack, plus or minus a little bit. Sometimes that plus or minus can be very infuriating, but it's got quite a bit of RNG in Blitzball. Pass is your ability to pass. It's drained for every second that the ball is in the water between 2 players. And it's also drained against block. If you don't break an enemy opponent that's in your way, they will attempt to block your pass or shot. You can also block shots. So pass and shoot go against block if you're not breaking, and shoot, if it gets past the defenders, will go against catch, which is CA over there of the goalie. The higher the catch, the more likely it is the goalie will stop the ball. As well as if the catch is high enough or the goalie has a certain technique that gives them better ball control, they're more likely to actually catch the ball rather than just block it. Catching the ball means they will throw it back out to a team member. Just blocking the ball and having basically a fumble of the ball means anyone can basically randomly pick it up, even if you're across the entire arena, which is a little bit weird. Not really sure how that works, but it does. Key techniques are useful techniques that player can learn. I recommend you learn them relatively soon, to be fair, but there are better techniques for a lot of the players. For instance, Humphrey, there's a lot of shoot techniques that are very useful for him, like sleep shot or volley shot being pretty good. And you get technique shots as you level. You get one at level 3, that's your first one. You get another one at level 7, and then 13, is it? Whatever, you get one at 3, one at 7, and that's probably all you're gonna see unless you probably figured this out yourself, but there's your techniques list. Not all players can learn every technique. For instance, Keepa here can learn very few techniques. The little dashed lines are ones he can learn. So Keepa's actually pretty bad. So let's go ahead and get into a match here. We're actually going against the Ronso Fangs, which is not very good at level 1, but whatever. Here you can see all of your player stats. There's also speed that I didn't notice, but that's speed. Higher speed, the faster you move. You can see this pretty clearly in the Ronso match that we're about to go into, because Ronso are very slow. But you need to put players in positions. The default positions are, as I mentioned, already in order, so you can just mash the A button and it'll put them in the proper order. However, if it's not, make sure you do that. Once you do it once, they will be listed in the proper order. Here you can set techniques. We don't have any slots to set techniques. As I said, you get them at level 3. We should have a slot in the second half. And also marks. Marking is a means of learning techniques from the enemy. This requires well, not the enemy, but the opposing team. I guess they are the enemy. This does require that they actually use the ability though, so sometimes it is often unlikely that you will actually be able to learn any abilities, especially if you're going to be taking advantage of... Good God, Keepa's awful. Especially if you're going to be taking advantage of some... I guess you could call it an exploit, I suppose, but basically means of abusing the experience game system and the AI. The AI in Blitzball is not very good. Blitz-off is random, by the way. It's basically 50-50 to whoever gets it, but when you score a goal, it's always the opposing team. Now here you can see he's going to do a 3-man breakthrough because Ronso have a lot of endurance, and you can see as we hit him, our attack is going to be removed from his endurance plus or minus some percent. And because Ronso are very beefy and we are very twig-like, we will have a lot of issues actually successfully attacking Ronso. Which, you know, it's possibly problematic because our goalie is awful, our defenders are awful, and the Ronso have a lot of health. So he's going to take a shot here. Oh no, he's going to pass it. Which will be a great demonstration of how passing fails. Thank you, AI. So that his pass failed and we immediately got the ball. Now, what I recommend you do the first time you get the ball, especially if you want to really win at all, is push triangle. I didn't have time to do that because he started wandering off, but the default control scheme is automatically AI controlled, and they're very, very bad about maneuvering, so they'll just go straight into other players, which is not good. Recommend you change that. I'll explain it when we get the ball back in a second here, but I have chosen to break, which means I will have the other Ronso attack me. It's probably gonna fail, because 9 versus 10, yeah. If it's that close, it's pretty likely to fail. That's not what I meant to do. You can push triangle at any point to change your formation. At the beginning, you really only have one, so just leave it on the default, you'll be fine. If I could get the ball back in a relatively safe spot, that would be great. If I could get the ball back at all from them, that would be great. And there's the RNG in play. Next time we get the ball back, if it's in a safe spot, I will change and explain the control schemes that are set up and show how to get easy experience in your first match to allow you to basically face roll the rest of the matches. Really, to face roll the rest of the matches, you should probably just, you know, change out some of these players because they're not very good. Some of them are alright. Most of them, however, are not very good. He's gonna shoot, I'm sure, yeah. So they're gonna score because 10 shot versus 5 catch because Keepa is the worst keeper ever. So there's their goal. And it'll go back to mid and toss us the ball. It's always the team that gets scored on that gets the ball on after the first one. So midfielder catches it. Now, push triangle. There we go. You can forfeit when you're losing. We're not going to do that. There's auto, which is garbage. You can see the AI is actually moving me. Manual A, which is the one I recommend, and manual B, which is tedious and kind of annoying. Manual A movement is based on the mini-map. Manual B movement is based on the camera, which is just like the rest of the game. However, in Blitzball, the camera shifts a lot, and you really need to be able to get around other players. So more often than not, when I'm playing Blitzball, all I'm looking at is the mini-map. Move my monitor over. So we put Manual A and normal formation, because it's the only formation we have. And now you can see I can, you know, easily control where my player goes, which is perfect in our situation. Now, to get easy experience, as I mentioned, any action that is successfully taken will give experience. So a pass gives experience, and it does not dictate what you get experience in, it's just base experience, and as you level, you get certain stats increased at certain levels. So what you can do is you can take the ball and you can just pass it back and forth between either all of your players or your 2 defensive players. Passing it between the 2 defensive players allows the 2 defensive players to get high levels very quickly. This allows your defense to be pretty easy, and then at that point you can basically just keep passing it between your midfield and one of your forwards, or both of your forwards if you feel like it. This will allow your forwards to get easy experience and up their shooting ability. Now the other funny issue, you notice the AI is a bit derpy. The other issue that this minigame has is the AI. You notice they're kind of derpy, they're just kind of chilling, blah blah blah. If you get too close to them, they'll start chasing you. Let's go over here to this guy, and he should, there he goes. He's detected me and he'll start chasing me. If we get far enough away, he'll stop. And there's one point on the field, right here, behind your own goalie, or behind the enemy goalie actually, which is funny. Where the AI will never get close enough to you except for one formation. They will never get close enough to you to detect you, which means you can sit here like this the whole time. Now you don't get experience for sitting there. You only get experience for taking action, so that won't get you an experience, but if you're going for quick and easy wins without having to deal with too much, you can basically score 1 goal using jet shot with Humphrey, which we can't do quite yet, so there's not actually much I can do right here. Let's go ahead and just pass it across the field for funsies. You can use jet shot, which I'll use in the second half here. Score a goal and then just sit behind your goalie, and the AI won't be able to do anything. And it's an easy way to get wins, to pass time quickly. So you can see they get experience. Now look at ours. Dado got nothing because he did nothing. Humphrey basically did nothing. But Bada and Jasu and our Letty, which is midfield, all got good experience. Now our team is still garbage, but if you had better players, you can get really high experience really quickly doing that. Actually, I screwed that up. I forgot to put jet shot on or show how to put techniques on because I'm so used to just pushing up and X, which skips everything. So we have sphere shot now because Humphrey here, or Titus as it were, is now level 3. He can now use a single technique, which in this instance is sphere shot, which is alright, but it's not nearly as good as jet shot. Jet shot will remove 2 defenders from the equation, whereas sphere shot you still have to get through the defenders. So I'm going to attempt to abuse their slow speed. No, I didn't quite get it. So we're going to use Sphere Shot. Sphere Shot is not going to happen apparently, but Sphere Shot it adds a little bit to your shot and then randomizes the addition to it. Basically, it increases your shot. That's all it does. Volley shot is good because it means if the goalie blocks it but doesn't catch it, there's a chance that you will take a second free shot, basically free anyway, at the goalie again, which has a pretty high chance of actually being successful. If your shooters are good, you can keep volley shotting back and forth. But this is basically Blitzball. That's pretty much it. In your first game, I recommend you try to stay defensive, i.e. keep your players on the right side and pass the ball around to get basically easy experience. Spend your entire first game doing that. That'll get you 4, 5, or 6 levels, depending on who's on your team, really. That should get you well ahead of the opposing teams, and then from there on, you can just use midfielder and one of your shooters. This basically allows you to take that midfielder and the one shooter and power level them, because they won't be doing anything except for passing the ball between the two of them. Also notice Humphrey's HP went down even though he never took the sphere shot. Actually just trying, even if you get tackled in a break, actually just trying a technique uses the HP. So if it's not guaranteed that you're gonna get through a break or get through defenders or whatever, you're really probably better off, especially in the low levels where you don't have HP to spare, just not taking any techniques. In the case of Jet Shot, just don't break and then use Jet Shot because it takes out 2 defenders, and you really probably shouldn't be facing more than 2 defenders unless it's the Guado Glories, which are really fast. They're like the opposite of the Ronso. They have no endurance and like 1 billion speed. Actually, I think the speed is only like 75 or something, but it's still quite substantial. I think the Ronso speed is only like 40, or maybe 35 or 40, and you can see the difference between them and us, so the Guado are basically the opposite. Is he gonna pass? No, he's gonna shoot for some reason. The AI is a bit stupid. I don't really know why he took that shot, but, you know, whatever. The easiest way to win is to take Titus, give him Jet Shot, get him enough experience so he can do at least 1, preferably multiple Jet Shots in a single match, and then just have him score over and over. The only team you'll probably have issues with, unless you're experience grinding by just passing the ball back and forth, are the... This is Trixie here. Get away from them, get them far enough away from me, and we're actually just going to pass it to Dado. Maybe he can score. He's pretty bad, and we don't have a lot of time, though. Also, no pass. I forgot about that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the Albed Sykes are probably the only team you're going to have trouble with. A lot of trouble anyway, because they have the best goalie in the game at the start of the game, and for the rest of the game, unless his contract expires, which is pure luck, basically. He starts off with something like 16 catch at level 1, which is a lot higher than everyone's ability to shoot. Everyone's shoot ability is actually lower than Nimruk's at level 1, I'm pretty sure. Took another shot. Still didn't get through, but notice he didn't catch it that time, and then they got the ball back. It's random who catches the ball. It's also random where they are. Notice he was halfway across the field, still caught the ball from that somehow. But whatever. There's your Blitzball match. That's the basics. It's not a very complicated thing. If you don't get free members to swap out the Oryx, you're going to need to do a lot of experience grinding to make these players useful. If you get free agents, they're useful when you get them, and they're also, most of them are also a couple levels up, so you have a bit of a level advantage at the start as well. And you can basically compound that, but there you go. And there's obviously league round 1 results, blah blah blah. There's 10 rounds in a league, there's your points. So yeah, 1 for tie, 3 for win, 0 for a loss. So don't lose. You can tie. Tying's not terrible, just don't lose. And then every time you finish a match, it does this. The more matches you win, the higher your team level, the higher everything, basically. You get new formations that you can use, some of them useful, some of them not, some of them cool. But also you get more information for scouting, which is going to be the final bit of this video, and this is how you get new people for your team. You can scout from the very beginning, just run up to someone and push square. If they play Blitzball or are capable of playing Blitzball, this little scout thing will pop up. At level 1, this is all you get. This is really all you need, because you can just look up, information online or in a guide if you have one for their stats and techniques and stuff like that. But if you get a really high scout level, like scout level 4 I believe, you can see all the techniques they can learn, the techniques they have, their stats and stuff like that, so you can get a lot of information. But run up to someone, push square, and then it'll ask if you want to sign the player. And you say yes, and you can say how many games you want to sign them for. Or just sign them for 1. And then now that player is on your team for 1 game. When 1 game is up, it'll ask if you want to re-sign the contract, and that will allow you to keep the player. If you don't have a lot of gil, just do, 1 game to lock them in, basically, and then you can just keep doing that as you get gil. You can keep increasing their contract as you get more gil. There's a couple teams, obviously, that you can run around to. This is the Albed Sykes, so everyone in here. Albed Sykes, and the best goalie ever is also in here. His name's Nimrook. There he is. He's fairly cheap, but his contract is long at the start, so you have to play a bunch of games just for the chance of getting his contract, and more often than not, they'll just keep him, so it's a very sad day until you get him, and then it's a very good day. But, there's other goalies you can use just fine, especially, if you're going to play that many games, you could just get another goalie, get them some experience, and they're perfectly fine for winning matches. If you're going all the way to 99 though, you're going to want the best of the best, but at that point, that many games in, you're probably going to be able to get Nimrook at some point. But that's basically it. It's a weird little minigame. It's kind of stupid, but it's somewhat addicting all the same. I'm not really sure why, but it is fairly stupid, but whatever. It's what you get with minigames in Final Fantasies. Hopefully that helps somebody figure out what the heck's going on. It's not terribly complicated. It's basically stat sheet versus stat sheet with some minor movement in there for no reason whatsoever. So, just abuse the AI is basically what I recommend you do, because they're terrible. So thanks for watching. Hope it helps somebody out there, and I'll see you guys next time.